for the port development program. This is a very, very important revelation. There's a reason why this letter was leaked. And we applaud those people that leaked these documents in order to keep us informed, for us to hold this incompetent and corrupt administration of Barrow to check. And it's not a surprise coming out that there's such a move by Alport, the subsidiary of Al-Barak, the Turkish company, trying to access loans by using our assets as a collateral to the loan. Now, why is this interesting? Let's just go through a background first. We'll come to the detail of the letter. The background is when this government came out talking about this concession program, and there was a leaked document again about the contract, part of the contract, and some of us were not happy. Straight away we can smell a rat. And not only that, we had information within the administration itself of people behind for this deal to be approved. It was not a good deal. And it does not take an expert to tell that it was not a good deal. It takes basic common sense to look into it and know that it's not a good deal. And tell you that none of the people that signed up this deal or promoted this deal would have done so if the Port Authority was their asset. If it was their home, property, or anything, they would not have agreed to this deal. They knowingly went into the deal because of the benefits they get directly through kickbacks. And especially for the so-called technocrats. So-called technocrats, I call them, because their behavior is not technocratic at all. It's not professional at all. They went into the deal because Adama Barrow wants the deal, because the First Lady wants the deal, and because Al-Barak have used the influences of Sidinjai and others in order to open those doors, and the how to call it, the kickbacks are paid for the so-called technocrats at the Ministry of Works, technocrats at the Port Authority, technocrats at the Finance Ministry to take part in the looting by taking kickbacks, invited to Turkey and given anything they want. Yes, even women are provided for some of our officers. Let me emphasize, some of our officers when they go to Turkey. And probably that with a heavy emphasis, probably, in fact, they might have something on them. Because if you understand how these multinational companies work, especially coming from Turkey, China, or any of these things, they know how to get that. They know how to get things done. They know how to get things done. To force to say that it was because of the interest of Barrow and the First Lady, which is a dynasty now, is now known. Any deal that goes into the country would be for the dynasty. That's the Barrow dynasty. Now, the people taking part in this, be the Finance Ministry, be the Works Ministry, be the Port Authorities, they know what they were going in for. And they are benefiting from this. Why? We came out. We could not know better than them. I'm not claiming here I know better than them, but I can claim that I have a better intention than them. I'm not claiming of expertise, but I'm claiming of common sense and able to read and do research. When this happened, we blew the whistle. And we cited example in Somalia. We cited example of Guinea-Conakry, where this exact company, the parent company Al-Barak, the parent company of Alport, made deals in Somalia, made deals in Guinea-Conakry, contracts signed based on kickbacks. We gave examples of this, evidence online. We shared the links of online. Then what due diligence did the technocrats take here? What due diligence? If we can easily do a due diligence by a simple site on internet and get the information required to know that this company is not fit for purpose. But the company, they are not selling competency as their strength. They know how to get things done by using their government diplomacy to make available of those, by using the corrupt handlers of the state, by getting access, then using our technocrats by taking them to Turkey, invite them for so-called meetings and give them food and luxury. Some would even have access to women so that they can get this thing signed. That's because that's what the president wants. This is what they do. If they say anything else, Ibrahim Silla came out lying. Jobate of the ports came out lying. They went to Peter Gomez, they went to they went to Parliament to lie about everything. That it was better. And common sense would have said no. Then it was not an accident. It was not an accident. And let me come to this. 2017, the minute Barrow came into government, the Gambia port was sought after by DP World, Dubai-based company, by a French company, I forgot the things, by the Chinese. These are the three major competing companies trying to take over the Gambia port, sign a concession with the Gambia port. None of them went through because of Barrow could not get what he wants from them. They tried. A particular case of this was with DP World. DP World was the most attractive investment. One, due to this former Senegalese president controlling Barrow not to go into detail, but again due to Barrow's greed. Because the other people around Barrow were pushing Barrow to go for the deal. But Senegal was discouraging Barrow to go for the deal for their national interests. I don't blame them. They're looking after their national interests. This is going to come later. But I can tell you, DP World came to the Gambia, and I think their meetings were meant to last for 3 days. They came with their special flight, came to the Gambia, and had a meeting. During this meeting, just before the meeting starts, a private citizen who is connected to Barrow announced his attendance to the meeting and said that he was sent by Barrow to attend the meeting with DP World. And in that meeting, that person was insinuating at a kickback arrangement for Barrow. The meeting abruptly stopped. DP World stopped the meeting and left the Gambia. This is how and why DP World left the Gambia. They went on with the Chinese. The former works minister, Joe, even went to Senegal and signed with the Chinese. That deal was stopped by the IMF. It was stopped by IMF. People can remember this. If you don't want, go and Google it. We signed with the Chinese. And it was stopped by the IMF. I can tell you that. That point too will come later. Now, an opportunity, instead of the competency that's required to manage your assets, is lacking because the political will is based on generation wealth building. Barrow is basing his policies, everything he does, on generation wealth building. then that corruption would ensure that our technocrats would do anything, because all they care about is to keep their jobs and get their kickbacks. And just so them, they too would take part in the generational wealth building. Go and evaluate the assets of all these people that took part in this agreement. In facilitating this agreement. Go and do their assessment. Go and do the assessment. You find it. You find all the evidence I'm saying here on them. Their lifestyle, the properties they own outside the Gambia, and other stuff. This is the reason they're doing it. They're doing it they are not doing it for Gambia. Now, before we go to the details, let's go back to the DP war. Let's go back to the DP war. DP war was in Senegal, negotiating with Macky Sall. Macky Sall Senegal wanted to have the DP war agreement. Again, Macky Sall was controlled by the French. The French did not want DP war to take up that deal. And this is about building a completely brand new spanking port at Nayan, just by Mbour. Build a deep, facility port, bigger twice or some even say more times bigger than the port in Dakar. To decongest the port in Dakar, but again, use that port for mainly transshipment to Mali, to Niger. To Mali, to Niger. Due to Macky Sall's personal interest and to serving the French interest, the deal never took off. We'll come to that. Now, when the new Senegalese government came into power, they are just there for 2 years. Less than 2 years, or about 2 years. What did they do? They did their homework. Their prime minister first went on a West African tour to all these countries that would be needed in order to make the port viable. They went to Burkina Faso. They went to Mali. They went to Niger. They even went to Sierra Leone. And I'll tell you why they went to Sierra Leone. They went to Guinea-Conakry. Even Guinea-Conakry having that port. Because Senegal already is competing with Morocco that is trying to build a similar port so that to supply these West African nations. Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko put on his Pan-Africanist hat and went over there and won over these countries. First. Second, traveled to China. He traveled to China. For what? Renewable energy. This is why they attracted Sierra Leone, because of the amount of energy they need to refine their iron ore and all the minerals. They cannot achieve that within a short period. Sonko have sold them. With China coming into it and Senegal working in agreement to build the capacity to process this iron ore and all this thing from these countries in Senegal was attractive for them. Sonko went to China and he and he broke those deals. The Europeans run knocking. The Germans knocking because they have seen the opportunity of the growth of Senegal and the wealth in Senegal. They offered to build an assembly plan for military vehicles, equipment, and civilian, and service vehicles and civilian vehicles in Senegal. They are already working on building the assembly line in Linguère, because to meet their decentralization policy of industries be decentralized according to the strength of those regions. And Linguère is chosen for the technology side of the project. They did that. And finally, with all that, Sonko went to Dubai, went to their DP and met the DP World. Not only to make it possible for the contract to work, they renegotiated the contract to the point of that even during Macky Sall's time, the Senegalese government was in charge of building the infrastructure that connects to the port. But they renegotiated a better term that DP World, in fact, is going to take charge of building the infrastructure that connects to the port. Please go to YouTube and see the development they are planning for Nandaya. And that would make the Gambia port absolute. Gambia would only import for Gambia. And that's not even guaranteed. If the port works efficiently as they're planning, hence they have another port they're planning for Zigansor and others, they technically encircle us with ports. It might be even more feasible to import from Senegalese ports than from Gambian ports. All because of the incompetency and the corruption of the Barrow government. We could have been ahead if we had agreed with DP World. Because when Macky Sall was controlled by the French not to allow DP World was going to build the port in Sanyang and control the port in Banjul and rehabilitate the port in Banjul. That was a better deal. Far a better deal. Jobs would be created, economy would have boomed, and we still have our solvent infrastructure for the future, and to determine the sustainability of our nation, the viability of our nation. When our founding fathers went to negotiation before independence, whether to have our independence or to have a federation with Senegal, they said that they are going to go into that discussion with an open mind. But they said whatever decision will be taken, even if the federation will be taken, they want to maintain the Gambian identity. How? This is when they said the infrastructure. This is how important the infrastructure is. They said that we required an airport, we required a seaport, and we required a seaport that will help with the jetties along the River Gambia for bringing in the produce from the province, but again to export to the neighboring countries. This was so detailed in their negotiations and the plan for sustainability. But today everything is sold. Even our bridges are sold. Just for quick buck. Just for quick buck. Now, Senegal is doing what they're supposed to do. And if people think that Senegal is going to send their army to take us over, no. Their success would render us unviable. Because of that, it's not that we cannot be viable when Senegal is successful. No, if we continue with a government like this, we become bankrupt. Already our currency is nothing. And it's going to even got worse. Because of we went on, we saw the audit reports, billions been stolen, but not only billions been stolen, but our cattle's been sold, not even to get access to the milk. Let's come and look at this. The new revelation. What is the leak report talking about? What's the leak report talking about? The leak, we raised this. We raised this to them. That this company is not going to bring new money into the deal. This company is not going to build. They are not going to build a new port from their own money. We question this. If the company is serious in building a new port, why not just go and build a new port? Why just go to Sanya and build a new port and have an agreement on that? No, that's not the deal. They are coming to take our asset and benefit from our asset as long as it's profitable. The time we will need to take back our assets is not even viable, and they go away. Bissau is building a bigger port. Sierra Leone will be building a bigger port. Every other country will be doing it. The landlocked countries would not be dependent on Gambia because of Senegal will be doing a better job. Because of, it's not that we can't do a better job, but we don't care to do a better job. All they care about is to sustain themselves with government, use our assets to build generational wealth for themselves, and use that wealth, in fact, to divide us more along ethnic lines and other lines, and even push us to the destabilization. They don't care, and loss of sovereignty. They don't care. They have no conscience. And this is not only for Adama Barrow. These are Adama Barrow and the people around Adama Barrow, the cabinet of Adama Barrow, the technocrat in Adama Barrow government that look into this deal and make it possible. They are all the same. They are all the same. And let us not think that it's one tribe doing it. It's all of us doing it. It's all of us. Now, imagine this. We said this, that the port can be managed in many ways. That Turkish are not going to bring in anything different. And I'm going to deal with those people that said, oh, since the Turkish came, this has happened. Since the Turkish came, this has happened. Let's deal with that first. People say that, oh, the Turkish came within a month. They took away the congestion. Now you can have your goods easily. Does that say, what does that say? Is it the competency of the Turkish? Because there are less than 20 people or around 20 people. Is it because of their competency? Is it because of their investment? Or is it because of the incompetency of the Barrow administration? Any good governance would have ensured. During the Jawara days, the Gambia ports, even today, the main infrastructure, the anchors that are making ships to dock were built by the Jawara government in 1992. The port extension program started in 1992. That's the main infrastructure. Gambia was competing with Senegal and competing with the other nations. Yes, as small as we were, the bureaucracy and nothing was there. It was efficient. It was efficient. We were supplying, and even within Senegal, it was efficient. That is about efficiency. Adama Barrow had an opportunity to appoint competent people. But no, he went and appointed Jobate. Why? Because Jobate went to the Jani Commission to say that I used to do this for Yaya Jammeh. I used to deliver money to Yaya Jammeh. We used to take the safer and give it to Yaya Jammeh. We used to do this for Yaya Jammeh. And that's what Adama Barrow wants. Someone that will do things for him, but not someone who serve the Gambia. And everything that follows. Barrow had the opportunity to restructure the Ports Authority. Most of the people or management of Port Authority are incompetent. They came through the corrupt regime of Yahya Jammeh. And it follows through the corrupt regime of Barrow. The majority of those people in position today are incompetent. From the managing director to many levels that we require competence. I'm not saying that there are not some competent people, but the authority itself is incompetent because it was built on incompetency, built on corruption. Go and look at the Jani Commission reports. How the port was managed under Yahya Jammeh. Now, if the Turkish can decongest a port within a month without bringing any new equipment, no new equipment, without investing a dirham, a dollar or a dime in a month, what does that say about the management? And that same management is still intact. that same management is intact. Could we not have done it for ourselves? Indeed, we could have. I'm not going to name names. After the 2021 elections, a list of competent, proven Gambians that have served in the internet, that have served proven track record, were shortlisted for Barrow to consider for the managing director of ports. He ignored it. He doesn't want that. He was not looking for competency. He wants someone to do things for him. This is why he got Ibrahim Asila. What competency does Ibrahim Asila have to run a ministry that's sensitive? He was just a freelance journalist. No, never have run anything in life. Never. Never had managed anything substantial in life. But he wants Ibrahim Asila for what Ibrahim Asila would do to him. For what Ibrahim Asila would do for him. Then it was not because of the Turkish were competent. It was not because of the Turkish invested in so that they achieved what they call, or they clear the backlog. That could have been done by Gambians. Now, where is the Turkish investment? It's proven now. We said this, that they're not going to invest because we have seen what they did in Somalia. And it became a crisis in Somalia. We have seen what they've done in Guinea-Conakry. It became a crisis in Guinea-Conakry. And what happened in Guinea-Conakry was one of the things cited during the coup d'etat. We said that. You know, another thing that have not been proven yet, but it likely happening because they did it in Somalia, they did it in Guinea-Conakry. Inflation of invoices. In order for Gambia to have their share, these people would in fact be stealing money, saying that they have spent that much or they have spent that much, and that is going to come out from the profit sharing. They did that in these things, in these countries. You think they're not going to do it in the Gambia? You think they're not going to do it in the Gambia? They won't. Now, for this thing to come out, that this company decided to approach a bank operating in the Gambia to seek for a loan of 13.5 million. But this loan they try to access is being taken by the subsidiary of the Al-Barak. Al-Barak is not taking the loan. It's taken by the company subsidiary. It's just nonsense having that subsidiary in the Gambia. Now that subsidiary is not putting in any collateral because they cannot put any collateral because they don't have a collateral. The only collateral they have is our Banjul port. And that money they're seeking for, it's not going to build the new port. No, that money is to use to enhance the port we already have. And make profit out of it. They're taking no risk at all. The risk is on us. Now, instead of Al-Barak taking a loan from the Exim Bank of Turkey or any other bank, numerated in dollars or whatever currency, to make sure they pay their service and everything in that form, and the money operational funds they need for the Gambia to pay salaries and so on, to wire it into Gambian banks, to make sure that Gambian banks would have access to foreign currency and help our balance of trade deficit. That will not happen. That will not happen. Instead, they're using their subsidiary. They're taking no risk. The subsidiary is taking no risk because the risk they're supposed to take now is taken to our asset. And now they are going to develop this asset in order to make more profit, and that profit they are going to inflate the invoices that they're going to show of the operational cost in order to save more money, avoid paying tax to us, and paying our dividends, and they have more. and they have to do this for 30 years. They are not taking the loan and go and build the port in Sanya. They are not. Now, what do you need this company for? What do you need this agreement for? If it's not for kickbacks and losing Gambian sovereignty. Losing Gambian sovereignty. Kickbacks. This is all it is for. 13.5 million. And do you know the other strategy? The port, it's not been enhanced in any other form because of the port already have the capacity to take in the traffic we already have. Have you seen them going out in sea to improve anything? No. They are using these loans to build a real estate in Banjul. To build a real estate in Banjul. You see what they're doing? And we said this before today. We said this many times. It doesn't take an expert to know this. It takes a patriotic citizen with common sense able to do research to research these things. Now, if our experts, our technocrats would tell us that this is the best deal they can come about, they could have done deals with China. They could have done deals with the Dubai port, the DP World, and others which will benefit us. We have a win-win situation. All these things could have been done even at a shorter period. The Chinese could have delivered it at a shorter period with even better concession. Other companies could have done it. Dubai World would have done it far distance and even to more sustainable. But Barrow have deprived us that because of their corruption. Now, everything they talk about Sanyang port and every other thing they talked about is on us. We could have done that. How could we have done this? As I said, there are many ways we could have done this and guaranteed. And this is what the difference is. When Ousmane Sonko went back to renegotiate, the Senegalese government could just have been lazy and just went to Dubai World to say, oh, come back now, you can continue. Any hindrance that Macky Sall government have put on you guys because of the French will be taken out. You guys can continue and build the port. No. They went and revisited. Sonko appointed about 12 experts. If I don't take my number, but I think it's about 12. Or let's say Sonko appointed a number of experts. Experts. These are not passive, these are not party or anything. These are Senegalese citizens that have knowledge and experience and integrity to review all the existing contracts. All the existing contracts. To make sure it benefits Senegal as much as it's going to benefit other investors. That's why they went back and renegotiated to the point that because of the cost benefits, Senegal's government said, look, I think it shouldn't be unto us to build the infrastructure that connects. Because this way, and they made their point, and DP World accepted these new conditions to rewrite the contract to capture that the access infrastructure to the ports will be delivered by the DP World. By DP World. Now, rail links, road links, and everything else will be done by DP World. Technically, it's costing Senegal nothing. Nothing. Supporting their economic growth. Jobs, they are calculated about 10,000 jobs directly to the ports through construction and operation of the ports. This is what governments do. But in the Gambia, the time Senegal will start to operate, which they are trying to operate within 4 years, Within 4 years, that port is and we are not talking about what's happening. Not talking about what's happening in Dakar port. This is what is happening at the new port and there, just about Moor, the suburb of Moor, out there, a deep water port to take even bigger vessels that cannot even anchor in Dakar right now. Better than what is happening in Dakar port, and it's not costing the government. But we go and give our asset. You have a cow. You take the cow and give it to someone. That person is using the cow, is not moving the cow anywhere else. The cow would be stationed at the same place. But this person would utilize the cow, take the milk of the cow, process the milk of the cow into whatever they want it to be, and sell everything from that. Manage it, control it, determine the cost of maintaining the cow and everything else, and in that agreement they are going to have 80% of it. But you that own the cow would just have 20% of it. Tell me, if Jobate, Finance Minister, Sidi Keta, Ibrahim Silla, President Barrow, would allow their property, go there now and ask for a lease of their property, that you will own their property for 30 years, and you'll be renting the property, and you will even build more houses in their property, and end of the day, you give them 20% of the profit, and you are going to determine how much you have spent to maintain the property and everything, and do those deductions. And previously, it's been proven that you have been doing the same thing with other people, but you have been cheating them. This is what Al-Barak did. They did it with Somalia. And do you know another branch of Al-Barak? All these companies are linked to Turkish government. I can tell you that, with the Turkish mafia. Turkish mafia. They are going to take over our airport. Do you know they're going to take our airport? They are almost ready to take over the airport again, just as they took over our ports. These are facts. These are facts. Now, what could have been done? We could have given the contracts to better arrangement. That's one. But nowadays, we have seen the example with Senegal. You see, this over-reliance of IMF, World Bank, and all these agencies, entities, will never give you the freedom you want, will never give you the economic growth you want. IMF are liars, they are criminals. They're coming out, for the IMF to come out in the Gambia after the audit reports coming out, and they, felicitating the Gambia government for the way and manner our central bank is operating, for the way and manner our economy is performing. No job creations, nothing absolute. Our currency demonstrated, and the balance of trade deficit and everything else. And they're pressing and still giving us loan. Pressing and still giving us loan. It's just like having an addict and continue to give that addict and saying that the Gambia government has promised. How many times did Gambia government have promised? The first, the Banyan, let me give you an example. The Banyan project, so-called Banyan project, road and drainage project, which started from 30 million to 50-something million, 57 million or even more. The IMF criticized that project first because it was numerated in dollars and everything else. But even the way and manner the contract was given out, guess what? The only amendment Gambia government did was to numerate it in dollars. But it went from 30 million to 57 million the last time we know of. Nothing else. What the impact that project had for us? Looting for Barrow and his cohorts. Now, the same IMF you listening to, the same World Bank you listening, taking loans, because that's the only way you can survive. Because we're not going to produce anything. With this, all the so-called agriculture intervention programs, every kind of, today, Gambia is producing less than the time of Sadauda. With all this point, less the time of Sadauda. I did not say this. Go and look at the records. Do you realize per hectare? Per hectare. You see, this is, I'm not going to go into detail in there, I'll just point it out. The viability of Gambia. Will come a time Gambians will not even bother to go back to the land. Because of the environment in that country is not conducive. Now Senegalese are with a hectare in Senegal, Senegalese farmers, within 2 years of the intervention of this government, new government, Senegalese farmers are realizing profits 10 times. This is why for potatoes, carrots, onions, they have not been importing for over 8 months. They are self-reliant. Prices are stabilized. And some prices are going down. Yes, prices are stabilized and some are going down because they don't want price to go rock bottom because that would incentivize farmers from farming. Now farmers are making something out of it. Rice production is going up. And they have a target of when they can even rely on Senegalese rice alone. They have first time put in an embargo that bananas would not be imported for 3 to 6 months because of the banana harvest right now that's going on in Senegal. And that harvest is enough to meet the demand in Senegal. That's how countries develop. That's how countries develop. Now, what could we have done with our port? Gambian consortium, from diaspora bonds to Gambian business, registered businesses, putting the money together under a competent management and get it utilized. We could have, because the capacity of our port is still good enough. We could have redeveloped our port, put in the infrastructure needed, put in all the investments needed for housing and anything else Al-Barak have promised could have been done by Gambians and Gambian businesses from the diaspora and other bonds. Senegal today, they are reducing their dependence of foreign borrowing with what? This is the second round. I think the second or third round. They've been going to the private citizens bonds, and these private citizens bonds have been going over the requested investment. So there's abundant money within the citizens because it's a win-win. If dividends are paid to citizens, citizens are reinvesting again. But now dividends are paid to Turkish companies, Chinese companies, Indian companies. Now all these Indians in the Gambia now have bought our passports now so that with their corrupt practice, now they can access our contracts and take contracts away from Gambians. And guess what? When they make profits, that profits are converted in dollars and taken out of the country. And we wonder why the dollars is going down. The government officers, when they take their kickbacks and others, most of them are going to take in dollars. If they take it in dollars, some of them would buy properties, build properties, but they are using it again to export. They are using it to pay school fees in America, Europe, or wherever it is, and so on. They are selling, using the dollars, to gain the foreign currency. Now, Al-Barak, profit and everything is going to go back to Turkey and others. How are we going to develop? But finally, talking about this is not enough. We are saying this, and again, very interestingly, still we haven't seen these political movements or political parties all over the audit reports. I am not saying having two people going on a talk show or these things or do these things, no. Again, we don't have time to, political parties and movements should know better. But what do we have, in fact? The infighting is going on, especially within the UDP and the UMC. That's the infighting. There's no policy discussion. There's not the audit reports. And now look at this. And I can tell you it's the same thing. This is why Barrow have the audacity to sit at Makamakunda throwing stones. Because he knows his investment is just to loot more and prepare his war chest and bribe political parties and others and maintain power. And if you think that the only parties bribed are the ones in coalition with Barrow, even parties in the opposition will be bribed. Even parties in the opposition will be bribed to stay away, not to build any coalition, a grand coalition, so that they can sustain their lifestyle. This is the reason why some of them are coming out with so-called party or so-called movements. We have to be very careful. And what I'm saying, go to Cameroon right now. Go to Cameroon right now and see what is happening. It's very evident that the government have lost. But guess what? After 6-7 days, they came out with 53% for a president that's missing. Even Cameroonians are not sure whether it's Paul Biya that periodically come to the country, periodically, when it's needed to be seen landing from the airport, going to his house. Because of Paul Biya is living in a hospice in Switzerland. Hospice. Overwhelmingly, the opposition have refused to come together because most of the opposition were paid to stay away, just to take votes out, scatter the votes, to make it easy for them to steal the elections. Yes, this is a fact that Cameroonians will tell you. And this thing similar will be replicated in Gambia unless Gambians stand together. Even though they have applied this to bribe political parties, opposition parties, to stay away from building a coalition, the people see it necessary to deal with the lesser evil, the former spokesperson of the government, to lead them. And they voted for him. The counting they did, they proved the rigging and everything else. Now they are going to the courts. Who are there at the courts? You think the court is going to give a verdict against the government? Just as our Supreme Court will never give a verdict against the government, which will determine this government to live. We know that. The periodical verdict that given against the government is not a measure of the competence of our Supreme Court. The most decisive decisions, they will not give it. And that's which is an election petition. Which will be an election petition. And Cameroon, unless they come together and take the streets and make sure that the people holding for Paul Biya, not Paul Biya is not even in town. People holding for Paul Biya, or even if to get out. And Gambia, that is my message. That is my message. We are here with the opposition to bring about change. But if the opposition doesn't want to bring that change by coming together, and Gambian people are not ready to push, and I can tell you, the IEC would not ever pronounce Barrow losing an election until they know that Gambians are ready to push Barrow out. If or when the elections are stolen. Barrow would not concede unless he is sure that if he failed to concede, he will be taken out broad daylight. Just as the dictator conceded because of the proof and evidence that Gambians were ready to push him out into the ocean. Into the ocean. Now, fool yourself. Believe in your popularist political party leaders to believe that they can take you to salvation. The only people's power that can give us salvation. Nobody can free us. We are the one to free ourselves. No one can free us. No one ever freed us. We always had to free ourselves. And if you believe in that the politics, or we can do this politics, elections is only a means to determine the power, people's power to bring about change in countries like Gambia And it is the same thing that happened in Senegal. Macky Sall never had considered the defeat. It was the power of the people that made him give up for the third time. Abdoulaye Wade would not have considered defeat. The night of election, it takes the 3 service chiefs who went, the police chief, the gendarme chief, the army chief, chief of staff, who went to the interior minister and made the interior minister to Abdoulaye Wade to say that the delay in conceding is a risk to national security. This is what forced Abdoulaye Wade to concede. And these are the facts. Guys, I mean, I just want to come up brief because I was trying to rest because I'm having a program at 4 o'clock with Alaji Salu Askanbi Radio, but my mind could not just be at rest knowing that I did not react to the the scandal at the Port Authority. But I hope that Gambians will take this more seriously and move away from this distraction of my party is bigger than your party, my party is better than your party nonsense when you are not holding power. If you're seeking power, go and challenge the person who holds power. If you want to distract yourself, you have to understand. And this is the irony of it. We went through this many times. So-called activists, so-called political activists, and so-called nonsense are under the pay of Barrow in order to distract you guys. I say you guys, I'm not distracted. I come in here to do what I do and move on. If I can help anything behind the scenes, I'll try and help behind the scenes. But until we come together, our efforts would not, yield anything. If you continue, with, and people say, oh, what happened in online is only online, that's a lie. That's a lie. What happened online have impact on the ground. It's through messaging, they bring this divisive politics of tribalism. It's through online that they take the content and use that content to turn around and accuse your political party of being insulters and being angry people. The content is created online. And if we fail to realize that, if we fail to know the importance of social media in winning elections or bringing about change or influencing change, then we are not fit for purpose. Then we are not fit for purpose. Because we have seen the evidence everywhere. These social justice movements or this Gen Z movements that are influencing change are based on activities online. We have seen Madagascar. We have seen other countries, but we saw what Positive did. They were denied all state broadcasts. They were denied all mainstream media broadcasts, apart from Walfadjri. What did they do? They created their online platforms. And those they relied on to galvanize and get the mobilized support for all sorts of resources, be finance, be anything, and mobilize the people. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.
Atina bukan lano bukasino no be media to dron wati o so ngamo ben bara o doko kendola ya coming ndebe diamu dinne la mak la diamu kandoro jang komi mobe na ni la opinion long. It's not like condemning anybody's opinion. Mobe ke la opinion on left, so mobe right to yela opinion on for respectfully, so try mobe little more somebody didn't feel offended. So yaje Gambia coming I même fois ko Gambia be tembo mento abe al halo mento be problemo men kono men si ke no solution oti membe ke no la president oti ay ke solution oti to our problem. Ninka ala moy bake ala diamo was based on that. He was very concerned about that. Okay. However nga issue soto ala dia ala opinion to da men wolong ay même fo wolon toñade Gambia be sulari molela momi yalon ko bi problemo men be keta for 60 good years Gambia man sakunda kon men keta sababoti Gambia mantano nyaato men keta sababoti Gambia banku dingol la baluo fang ikorita balu kendo sotola ila banko fang ikorita sino la je kolea membe la banko kan a jarete ye ye fanyin tubabudu ye fa yeta kenye futa ko ye faje dan ye sila banko kan hani me ye kairo soto ye soto ke tubabudu ibuke kuntili noy la banko la fente fo banko la tinya mune atinya corruption long abe mansakunda imam fenne ke je iman luanati ima institution reform ke civil servant dabe daji ko be tinyari corruption la ayatina bank Gambia dun fon me fanjeno ila banko so bi pour ka mol soto melialon ke wole be kala president oti pour ka killing ka loi betonati mole ka institutional reforms ke mole civil servant daji ko pour ka code of conduct nati in the civil service ka corruption o bang ka atodum melbe do ko la mansakunda ko ne bejo kam wala namu kodola pour yalon ko be siring Gambia dum je Gambia dingol wolle la bosti inyanta do ko kala wolle bari manyanna do ko kele kunkilin nafaye imanyanna kele la family damaye pour que tel fam e barkandia ni la family sata Gambia dingol melke tel jo meli taye haya wodulato wolbe wolla balwobe murukan koma inene bukata nyaata so binte ngamira lafta president on la meyalon ko nanata ate mirala atenala dimbayal damala yamo president on meyalon nga yakaro soto ato ko ning he is not corrupt beyond all reasonable doubt Gambian yalon ko he is not corrupt you cannot find him on you cannot take any corruption fenkela atodum align nola to him killing molo meyalon ko awasata fula molo meyalon ko ay loi bunya adun whatever it takes loi be wole tamandila because yaje banko naman loi soto aka kole ale pour wo banko eta nyato de banko nala judiciary system ala magistrate jojol court proceedings natara ala legal a framework natara among tilling aka kole ale pour wo banko eta nyato so being tel ni ta president on la meyalon ko ate yusundur kumandila ka galake kataje president o meyalon ko atina ka bunjambal lo koteng just 2 years in power president o meyalon ko abe nala le ate si wodulato ate be sila je nyaadi fo sanji tansaba wole be kelate la do ko ti momo si wo kay no abe wo mo si valle nati la around him weda wol be do ko kela pour banko e develop or not ate la hajo tije ate dal alla finna ko wodoro abe so ntel nita wo president o la meyalon ko nyimbe abako di la nyinna abe mune jela abe banko dum le jela abe banko la nyaato tale jela so wole ati na bi always ndeka fo mole enko nga sanoni damono le sotum bulo kono ate melambe lose lala nga na regret me yatina man capitalize pour pole mol nafa ninko sanoni damono ni luluo atodum wo muneti nko nyim banko be da membi lawyer Ousainou Darboe as a president, Halifa Sallah either vice president or speaker of the house, Sidi Ajata either vice president or speaker of the house. But the top 3 executives in that country is the president, the vice president, and the speaker of the house. And we have got these veterans, these 3 people, Ngamel Tofojang, Ousainou Darboe, Halifa Sallah, Sidi Ajata, Melialonko, they can, we can hire them at this position right now. Nil be constitutional law, nil be metapolitico kono, nil be entel be ngalo ne nil Gambia, ye Gambia il la fita Gambia lale, ye bute Gambia ne ye soron Gambia ene, inene man fisali inene man muru koma in kataka la mansakang, because of bata membelari kam pour ka Gambia samba nyato. Mo kilinte nil kono mennene ye dok woke, ay corruption ota. Gambia mansakunda kono, because ye doko kele at the nyindole doko kele National Assembly. Ngaje bi membe National Assembly ka 3 million motol ta, ka kordal ta, ka fenke bambalol di fanna. Nyil kabri bi je man sonna wo be man taranu National Assembly. So bi, ndel sulata molle la melman lafika bunjaun lo, melman ta bunjaun lola, melman ta ifang pempen na wo mansa siran ka ya fo etelte jila so nyi mosabo that's what they can do for us ye luwalong yeah Khalifa is a constitutional expert. Gambia constitution of from Hana be sino la ya take asafo from beginning to ending. Yamo. You know, Sidi Ajata Wonyama. Uncle Use Dabo is a constitutional lawyer. Be nintel nga esa soto way I justice mutawoli. Ke ndafta femfendi na tilunto Gambia banko ka constitution beto soto loi beto membe banko tamandila ka constitutional reform ke kanna judiciary la system o be you know civil have code of conduct ke mba be soto lale ni wosi keno in 5 years these people are going to retire. So then already after 5 years 2031 pools more be are from proof all this opposition let them come on board that this 5 years government of reforms, you know, 9 reforms all keta. Then Mobe Muru back to the pools. Yamo Sare be from proof at the ministerial level. Gambian will decide now whether to vote for Mama Kande. Maybe Mama was there in 5 years as local government minister. Esa was there 5 years as justice minister. You know, Halifa was there. UDP was there. You know, Nil Bebe. So then we choose during the 5-year reform terms. You know. Ay ñine ke son tel be carte o fayla ñine so ni Gambia no le momo satra nga proper democracy soto any government that is installed after that 5 years will never go you know at a fintino la wo set up ko no menketa in that 5 years because obata la Gambia no ye men enjoy in that setup nobody will take them back mote brain was no la kote politically they are aware they know what is good for them and they have they have paved the way forward for that. So they will not allow anybody. Coming fenke memfo. Usman Sonko nala Pastef molie memfo jomaye. Ñun dañ am procès bo xamantene mom lañ jaay sénégalais yi. Légui président Diomaye dafa dox ci ko procès bobu nonu. Su buggé wacca yoon bi dañoo xécca nopam bi ñu ne ko sumaraka ya ngay wacca procès bi égal. Do wacca procès. So the same thing that will happen in Gambia too. So after that 5 years, anybody who come there, you want to be left out democracy, left out any changes, we will tell you no, it will never happen here. So, you know, State House manke dulati dame ya ko ikafuko kari ko totale adunta jenale Gambia betembo mento ata samba nola. No, mome lualo, mome contenta, mome yalo ko you know ay principle soto, you know, abukalafi, you know, fenfendie tama memmanke luati, you know. This is the type of president we need. We don't need his age. All that we need is his consciousness, you know, on reforms, on so la jambi ñoo sabala optil wen you know karila nyanta kala je karila wallahi nit mo sabol nko ale ko na ñing gold and diamonds ñe mol down for these 5 years for retire Gambia next 60 years again we will be struggling. That's the end of Gambia, you know, in terms of good government. Allah baraka. Thank you.
Ugura marathon borla je so alka mun kebaya fo famine nebe je lo da bana na ba fo soran la mol la mena lon ko lebe do ko kala president ka decision la ke aka do ko la le sura da ndawol be fo ni kellet so al mol da ni wewe sifa la boy atul ka diam la fo me lon ko e bam politiko lo man tama you know Abdoulaye Wade siale lo da bora jibay meke Senegal Donald Trump is older Tanzania la president ici contre l'état banna ala mol Gambia drone ke wewe sifa moy beside jumal man laf kala janke bad albe ke bal mudal be discriminate la jumal man laf ke ni même man laf kala ke bad if on fa sign then so ni ke bad moy laf rapport so lay ko ke bad would you like it stop discrimination ma wota na constitution ko no ke bad ni yaay wota je ni sa ke no be kulle okay marathon border state house am sanji kemen lol na ko be dara ka tawono be kulle amen al come on man al Gambia boy ntamaro le say boy al awaya ina fiki adia mo le bula keba defo le frekere keba you know discrimination na tambidol funny after all funny ke ya Sadawra Jabara was funny ke Grabina ya Jammeh was even younger 29 Barrow is still young 50 80 ya all level do ko je be la call 50 is for call ibe yemuneke kabanku ko do betinya namanan keba soro albe mol fala wewe kenso la jam boy keba badi newul ken place solo di newul jiwe membe keka kabisa Barrow sina dinde jumal le mol disappoint kam you count them on ibang. Look at Dr. Cisse. Another way the jang party all on Benjinekela Sukura baby tile. All of a sudden now, wow. Look at Sabali. I'll more than for Ninke Kola boy. Korisuna competition or playing someone Muro Daja Sao. That's all they know. Musinyima Musobe Dauda. Yeah. Don't let part of boy. I know more like constitutional Koroke me for Walam. Institutional level regular, constitutional reform, everywhere reform go quick. And you don't know they are all not. They had a work law. So I'll come to the ban. I'll get them go more and go on political follow. Kebalam. Really? You don't want to kebat. But it.
Guys, no problem. I didn't para. You have fallen there. Jalen. What about
Mr.
Okay, I can answer that for you. Ilafta nga answer kodi.
I'm
surprised that
answer the wrong. Is a question.
Yeah, it's a question, yeah.
Okay. May I tinanko lawyer dabo yeke president on. Because one, until being alone one. Lawyer dabo bring Jawara la mansakunda do okay o mansakunda kono. And resigned because of some abnormalities. Bepare, ni mansakunda membe so dole be noise kande. So ni mansakunda
not nice.
Ni mansakunda membe siri. He have got the opportunity to be a foreign minister. Again, he have got the opportunity to be a vice president. So saying, he got more experience to be a president than Khalifa and Syria, whom they always serve as parliamentarians. They have no executive position experience. So this is where I base, my competency among the three of them. That's why I position them like that. That's my opinion.
I can also as well tell you, Khalifa Saleh has served the parliament many times, and he have experience in how the laws and regulations of this land is built. Lawyer Dabo has never served the Gambians in any position. Besides that, Adama Barrow Yake vice president, foreign minister, and there he couldn't even, to my opinion, he couldn't even prove himself as a vice president because Najelo called me Beketa. We just don't have to go back to history. If you are talking about that competency or where he served as under Jawara, he was just acting. That is his profession. He was a lawyer. He was just working as a lawyer, but he was not serving Gambians to that level. And Khalifa Saleh, he have been in that house. He have been in the parliament, debunking all laws, rules that Yahya Jammeh's deputies wanted to put in place. Khalifa and Sidia were always there for the Gambians, to stand for the Gambians. So for that matter, you cannot just handpick Lawyer Dabo Kafuko, Atele Nyanta Tambila Khalifa, because Khalifa was not even tried in that cabinet yet. And Lawyer Dabo was tried as a vice president.
Football team of
not nice.
Tom, sorry. Yes. Mansakunda have three organs, three bodies: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. Okay? The legislative, Khalifa Nimfenke Doku Sidia Doko Kewokonot. Moma Feko, they don't have experience in that. But equally, the executive, Lawyer Dabo also work in the executive. Yamon. So everybody give the devil its due. Experience to damning, performance ke damning. So this is simple. Nobody is saying that Khalifa Mang during the time of Nsorek. It a member for young Alota Jamejana Jam scrutinize and all. Who said
yes, of course.
That's what all opposition did. That's what they did. Those who were existing during the time. That's what UDP did. That's what everybody did. They were
what credit?
Gambians.
What credit?
The government. So,
Yes.
you know,
But what
so
credit?
we have
What
no
credit
doubt about
would
that.
you give?
But more okay,
What
experience
credit?
as a beginning, so that there will be no
Okay.
lapses. This is what I'm talking.
Okay. Okay, Abaraka. But what credit
Sam.
can you give him as a vice president? I am Faling, I am Sambanyato, I am Ke. I just want to
Sam.
hear that. When you are talking
Sam.
of his vice president, yeah, just tell me the credit. I am
Okay.
I am in Gambia, I am in Gambia.
As a vice president,
Yes.
it is mun corruption
Yeah.
ne jay menke. Financially,
I'm not talking about his corruption. I just want to.
Sorry. I mean intimidation or like citizen let down mento me alonko citizen ita fana yo point ba.
I can tell you one that Gambians can prove me right. Kabirin teacher Sol Funtita Jan, they were claiming their rights. He gave them a time. He told them that if they don't resume to work up to Monday, he will sack all of them and employ retired teachers. Gambia.
So what? That's a violation of human rights? Or did he do that?
I'm not telling it's a violation of human rights. But
You don't want to go to work. You are on strike. And somebody has to land. Somebody. No, sorry. Meje justify la janye tambije. You don't want to go to work. Dindiul nyanta karanale wala karang manyan na tinyala. Ite ulta isita. Iko dindiul la karang te tinyala because of iteko, something is going wrong. There is a way you should channel it. If you cannot channel it through that, it's not protest. If you protest, we cannot stop the kids from learning. We will bring others who retired and make sure that the kids they are learning is not stopped.
Mustafa,
so
I'm very
there is
sorry.
nothing you can say that that is abnormal.
We have all been to school.
You have to think with senses, my brother.
Mbalali, we have all been to school. I told you people are the one who are taking the streets every time, protesting your rights. So don't contradict yourself. You just have done the same thing. So why are you contradicting yourself?
When you protest your right, you shouldn't
Mustafa
protest normal citizen is different.
protesting for political party or right but teachers all new all sit down strike. Yamoy wala kala mun to la wala nyanto be wala tinyakan
no manyana kala
munyanto sala yalo gambia no fali musa ta manyalo al yalo memu human rights
yalo Mustafa, you cannot overtalk me ila moy
you cannot even dilate why he is doing that.
Even here where you are living in America or in Europe, when things are not right, people go out or they demonstrate or they sit and protest.
They use the right channel. They use the right channel. They don't just jump and go out.
Teachers use their right channel. Teachers were claiming of poor conditions. You understand?
We have no reason as vice president. He have no other reason. He
okay,
about the
okay.
So this is the reason.
Okay. Sam, ngamal man you understand. Mustafa Memfokanjang, Mustafa Memfokanjang is very easy. We have gold and diamond and silver. These three things, so he was just making a proposal. It's very simple. Halifa will later parliament aside because all those people, it's a good example. Halifa, Yamune Faija, he offered a ministerial post. He prefer parliament. Because
Ite aje muntole ya offer ministerial post. Ite aje muntole. I cannot allow you. Bro,
let me just answer this.
You guys are so aggressive, man.
Thank you very much.
No, please, let's stop being aggressive.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mustafa, I don't need Sam. I can't explain it. So I come for it. And now I don't borrow Aflako. I don't borrow maybe to be Lamwe, but let me just tell you today, maybe how long. I don't borrow Aflako. He prefer to go to the parliament. You understand? So Mustafa he was not, he just telling us that we have something. So brother, at that proposal, this platform, we are just making analysis. More of who is preferred, why and reason. Now made us gums above question for why. Imam I come for State House mu toilet. You understand? So this man was just making a proposal. Ako ate say Halifa Saleh Parliament.
Munatina lawyer jabo titala justice. Munatina lawyer jabo titala justice. Halifa Saleh ke president noti.
No brother, listen to me. No brother, we are here just to talk. We are not here to talk about, come, diamo, angala. A proposal, in my opinion, long English kangoto. It's just an opinion. You can come and say your opinion too. You can come and say, me, I want Halifa.
Yeah, that is what I am doing.
No, but it's
yes, Mr. Jadama, I'm sorry. Mr. Jadama, please.
No, let me break. Okay. We are all mature. You understand? So when I was here, I was waiting. So I come for it was just an opinion, a proposal. I was coming directly in the platform. I was advocating for Landabo. And I have a reason. No reason only la plateau come. Ate he came, he bring 3 people and he choose them and more my position dealer. At an opinion them. So it is not like I go, why you do this and you don't do this. That is his opinion. You cannot ask him why.
No. What's in my mouth? I just asked him. Why does he prefer Lawyer Dabo to be the president and not Halifa Saleh?
I reason for Salah said he doesn't want presidency. He want to be in the parliament.
I reason for it. I reason for it. I reason for why I offer. So I may deny. At this point, I reason for it. I go, matter reason because Halifa Saleh Lawyer Dabo So I can't reason for it. So you cannot tell him that So yeah, answer very nice. I was very happy with the answer. Yeah, asked this is my reason why I have to why I put them in this position. So I tell Mirolo mold. I go direct to Lawyer Dabo, no advocate, no UDP advocate, because I have a reason no land the plateau. So the ideal like a fallen neck. So personal attack go, you are doing this, you are doing this. No, we are just giving ideas. You can come and get even your opinion for. So that is also like that. But maybe you don't know it. But Halifa Saleh was for that. What he preferred this side than the other side. So maybe it's more I don't the president for so I come for them is a Gambia we have three goals from Tonyalam. This we will are very good. Maybe is the next president na go baby is the lama. Gambia
what Ali Halifa Saleh Tambindi. If that is the case, that all the 3 are good, let's try Halifa Saleh because we have tried the other ones and nothing has.
Then let's join.
Let's try the other way.
Coalition. Let's join and form a coalition.
Exactly. No, only a coalition. Mr. Jadama, only a coalition can defeat can unseat Barrow. That is very clear for all of us.
That's not true.
Yeah, only a coalition, to my belief, is the only way forward.
It's not true.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Boy, not nice. Balal Marek, bro, after you
last year. Come on.
Jadama.
What? Yes.
Jadama, Mr. Jadama, only a coalition, to my opinion and to my belief, can unseat the president, referring to the 2021 election results. Because even if all oppositions would have formed a coalition, even then Barrow would have beaten them. You understand? Because Barrow got 53% of the votes. Half of 100% is 50%, and Barrow got already more than it. You understand? Exactly. 53%. That means Barrow would have defeated even the coalition. You understand? Yeah. Sign not just forming a coalition, it's forming a coalition to gain back the trust of the Gambians. Because 2016, Gambians are very disappointed from the coalition that was formed. You understand? So we cannot just build. Not nice. Okay, you munga continue wabi. Iba tuntenga jiwa.
No time now. It's politics and next year is election. We don't have time. Right? Halifari taramolo dipile bungo kono benga jele loi kendol kana kai anisidi ka yole. Ikata kai fongo duni kamor. Instead of come on.
Mr. Jadama.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Okay. If we are building a coalition, we are just not building a coalition for the sake of building a coalition. We should build a coalition that Gambians can trust again, because many Gambians, you know it or you don't know it, many Gambians are disappointed from the 2016 coalition that we formed. That one is history. Hanini Mamuru Woto. You understand? So, to build a coalition right now, we have to present a leader that Gambians would at least believe in and have trust in him. Otherwise, building a coalition, they will still ignore the coalition and go and vote for Adam Abaron.
Yela moy
You
na
understand?
yela moy na
Yes.
nun kabrin kadiamu bang Sam yela moy na kabrin kadiamu
Mustafa,
Nko,
no ngela
nko.
moyle, but you wrong
you know
up,
yang
but
nga
nga
coalition
boy
nga ni mem fo jang is like nga coalition o nga esa fal ñol be fo jele mamma kande it mean like everybody should come on board like we have to be one
Yes.
but say nga mo jomal lenati as the top executive these are people whom are known to Gambian for 4 decades in politics nye daji ko be fo mole men loito I mean you know we cannot associate any corruption to them in the man nga fo janko in the man officially kataka join mansakunda kay be men oppose kan just because they want to have position even though they were offered ministerial position all of them in Gambia's government and they rejected it openly yamon so you know
Hey!
sorry
They declined the offer.
Nkoeko nyi bije loyate ate Halifa brainwash nola ate Sidia brainwash nola Sidia ate Halifa brainwash nola ate lawyer brainwash nola equally Halifa te nyil be brainwash nola Nkoeko this man is a constitutional lawyer this one is a constitutional expert you know so nyil be la expert le soto in their area of responsibility it will not be like 2016 me yalonko you know my party botanaring exile le am fel longam yakoto yake minister di Henry Gomez yake minister di you know at the end will be not so it's not something like that these are people who have been in Gambia for 4 decades in politics so obviously you know I don't know what do you want Gambians to look for now
Gambian no le mo fa
me respond la sur wakango la ni atara ye sur wakango moy nte man waxuma ne man ay yow Mustafa nga wala laaj question bobu because man ma wax Mustafa ne ko teachers they have the right to demonstrate comme yow noko waxe holan fofu nonu dawal kati train lok fiura yi ñom legi dañ dé sisu because of certain conditions overtime overwork low salaries, whatever is the reason, then they talk no protest, no ben train to daw bir Holland. Why lolu taxut government bi dey gëna ci wala president wala vice president di gëna ci mune len so len dey work on Monday I will sack all of you. Lolu Mustafa nga wala like question bo because man I am in for that protest. I was asking Mustafa why did Dabo had to come out to say that if the teachers don't resume back to work he is gonna sack all of them and replace them with retired teachers. Okay, is it clear for you now?
It's clear, but it just doesn't make sense. Why does he have to say that? And my other question is that what has he done for
No, don't bring 2 questions, one at a time, just wait. If you still want that question to be answered.
And I said my other question is, listen to my English very well. Thank you, sir. Let's all be like respectful here.
Disrespect you. We are just telling you to take your question one at a time. That's not
Because I am not your child that you are going to talk to.
know how to speak your English, how to frame,
Mustafa,
make your
no,
sentences.
Mustafa, allow
This is
her.
no disrespect.
Mustafa, be fair.
I said
Be fair
one
to
at
her.
a time. You have answered one
already
question.
answered
If
my
I am to
question,
answer it,
and
let me
I
answer
said
that
my
one before you will
next
come with your
question
second
is,
question.
Mustafa, he already answered my question, and I said my next question
Not
is.
the one. He
and I
said
made
no.
my next question.
Malo Feteka Angale Kaumoy. He said he is not the one to answer that question. It should be directed to me. So I said hence he mentioned me. Let me answer that question before you will come with another question.
He is the one that I
So,
want
you know, you have
I
to-
saw you up here and I didn't want to talk to you and I decided to talk to him. And I said, my next question is, that means that I don't want to talk to you. And if I don't want to talk to you respectfully, don't talk to me. Let's all be mature and be respectful, please. Thank you.
Sister, yo dega nga man fuma wahe, man wahuma lolu, man I am against that statement from Mr. Lawyer Dabo. Ne, teachers isundelu ute back to school on Monday, he will sack all of them and replace them with retired teachers. Why Mustafa? Amon na ground bo hamne mom lol lawa mune so gisee Lawyer Dabo mu walol wala teachers walu ñoo protest for what which I found totally wrong because everybody have the right when the working place when your working conditions are not good when you feel like nothing is in place. You have right to go and make a sit-down strike. They didn't go to spoil any place. They didn't put people into danger. They just sat and decided not to take their lessons. So, and it is their democratic right. It is their right to say that the conditions at the teaching field or whatever it is not right for them. But I just had a statement from a vice president who said, if you don't resume back, on Monday you will be sacked and replaced. Lola one right.
Order that he needs to be a president. We need to know.
Answer.
Yes, sir, you mood.
Thank you. Lima wa sister bi moine. Lim ni Mustafa Mowara to give that answer. Sam dulati muna dimbele. Because Sam si bomba na fala Mustafa. Dema diga bala
Mustafa, if you want to answer, you can answer. I don't want to answer her question equally.
Okay, no problem. And second question, sister. Hamga nilen kore defe. So lache danga may gay tontula. Nyom tamisun amel la laaj la ko nga tontu.
A la second question ko ako Mr. Lawyer Dabo
sister ngane balal sister ngane
Ndi ha you understand Uncle Gomsa Baba because ntela life han yela like so you mun kela life tapote and one of the people me akon la life tapote la every time you can understand so problem what
I will add that there if he still want me to answer. Okay, one kukilimbe fole lawyer Adam Barola Mansakunda yewola think the imala entire life for the only Adam Barrow's government when he was serving there as a serving member of that government. I menke meya loko had impacted the lives of Gambian youths or Gambians in general. One, lawyer as a foreign minister, Kabra Nata. We were not in the Commonwealth. Atele Murundi back into the Commonwealth. Okay? I moved Burundi back into the Commonwealth. Now, international relationship was totally, shattered. It was not the international relation with the West was totally, not cordial. Atele nata I will be resto. Yamo. Bepare, the coffers of the state, the funds, the resources that were there, the financial resources, was almost at the verge of collapsing. He is the one who went internationally, then he went with a list called the shopping list that Gambia needed, immediately to the Chinese, to the Western, and then he presented those shopping lists. That was the time he came with Adam Baro Kafuko, Ninkodo Natajang, Ninyakumo sound they will enjoy. Yamo. Abeman now, but some of it came. Yamo. Like the bridge in URR, Melfo and all those things, Silol Mel Continental, this was all the effort of Lawyer Dabo as foreign minister. So in Sudan, what
NBD,
I'm not even going
National Development Plan. National Development Plan.
Okay. Mandama Amdoma love to fend Ninkala Mustafa.
Okay, sister, how about no, Ali Batun. Sister, if any Ninka follow, Nink answer Mendita, I econo fale dum fodum, you have something.
Answer mundi naka ayon kono fale. I can understand. Papa na ask question saban na last question no. Mbenu kamo ile time pass on TikTok live Jamal BJ. Eko lawyer double le kaitos nini mu nyini karonga mume lawyer double le kaitos sign pour ka boy sol deport Gambia. Lafsa the punya tele fen lonjele please pour you answer for that issue for that is not sure.
Because kamo mini le TikTok live.
TikTok live o time mo bilibe no ka boy deport Gambia. Mo Jamal big life do ba fu kon lawyer double myself do ba fu kan ning Adam Barrow le ya sen do ba fu ka telo advice nyindiala. Pura ya sen so ntele nyini karong munti ama ke ngamo dama so ntele afta ka ganyi ninka forward that is true because nyate wo muntu nyate yemi le mole ta bagwe nani futa tuba abri kana kote de ke murundi o diamo siata
o moila sabanja nyini karoti ya okay maybe tomorrow dossier ma ko jam Mustafa, I love that je fanundi la.
Yeah, Ninja Manual Manna, if she still want me to answer, I can come up.
Yeah, this is the one in final, Instead of him find no day. Well, just sister, just can't find ko Purialon rek. Well, mu political diamond leti. Oh, nobody in Gambia because no mu kuti me alon ko mu tonyalti no bi ndanite ndol fongo tem moy no la ñu Facebook odo. Dun tem moy no la Adama Barrow fongo dat because ndol be na president lon. Hana dindi yawato membe ka ka be fon. So, what about the Adam that boy with the protection sign? Ite fongo. Iko ya moy mel ni ñi ka sign. Ni ngoy it told for ye ñi ka evidence. Maybe you cannot remember. Maybe ya je rek scrolling. Wol mu kul ti mi ngo wol na mon soto because ñu wol soto da bi ndani te ndol be dem moy la jang. Because la da ate got fongo soto da fam pour que lo for molie attendez pour que molie ay ke UDP la flag bi yani. So wol mu kul ti mi ngo rek wol mu political mol leti me ango mol ka for rek pour que mol kam fandi o gop modul fo moduli bari amanke kuti me alon ko aso total so kule me alon ko ite fonga ba imagine nka kan jande bari ya moy la moy le il faut you are not even sure what the question you are asking fenn me alon ko dim mem fo ite fo jidin kay ba ko la ko jinde bi nga moy onim bite mam ma moy ko den so ni ko be ko mol mem be moy le ni ko wol be ñin ka la jak dul be je men important de la question yeme very very important wala la question fulano la da way mu nekk mo li Gambie ñak so bara nga Mustafa Jama explain yo yow ba ni o me si nse do fanam fu e bari wala madam wala la way si le so bari ñi ndo ñi na wala wonta ku so do rente because ñoo mu ku so do hala la open ngol do la use la because mo la fi wala mol men you told ye ba fare na fu Gambie na fu so kon na fu tuwa bu du jang ye mu ite mu ye ti poto sa o ko ku so do rente
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 30 seconds nga demanding la fa bemenka pour ala last question to clear her mind more. Okay. In politics, when you have your political rivals, they try to use things that might disqualify you and qualify them. One, there is nobody in Gambia government, who will ever produce a document that signature you are talking of. Signature is an evidence, of, somebody, agreeing to certain, agreeing to certain terms and conditions. So until and unless that signature, is presented, there is no proof. One. Secondly, this, yalo nintelota ngoeko, the select committee on diaspora issue, when they went to, when the representative of the National Assembly went to the diaspora about this deportation thing, it was led by a Honorable Sidia Jata of PDOIS, with the vice president and Mamburenjai, of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Yeah, so if I said that was the time they signed for this deportation, then I will not bring any proof. I'm just alleging because I cannot bring any proof. Though I know they went on dialogue on those things, but there is no official signature that is presented, that was Mamburenjai or Aissatou Touré or Khalif or Uncle Sidia. So, I will be very much ignorant just to score a political point to accuse them of they are the one who signed it if I cannot bring any proof. Likewise, in the case of Lawyer Dabo. So obviously, you were just speculating, they say. That's what everybody is saying, they say. Even, Gambia government cannot prove it. The international community cannot prove it. So why should we believe that? Why should we take it as a political point to discredit somebody political credibility? Thank you.
Okay, all right. I'm having also is right.
Man question man ma abal wow.
Right.
Because ntol be nga jele ko kabri coalition Adama Barrow select as the flag bearer alayake anata ay winter keta presidentoti. He employed Lawyer Dabo to be his foreign minister and later the vice president of the Gambia. So to be my vice president, it means that I trust in you and that we have to work hand in hand, to take the country forward. But ngajale ko hani ala vice president kono, he was campaigning. He was campaigning, and UDP called from Kafoko Fango, Kabria Katanu ala campaign that he was not using government vehicles. He was which is true. He was using his own vehicle. But don't you think that was a game of undermining? Because a president who trusts you, at least akoy ko nanga banko doku na yam makoy as the vice president hani ninte tamata fa you are representing him as the president for that time. You understand? But we see that another Frita, he was going on campaign. So don't you think that that is a little bit I cannot understand it, because it seems that for him he was only interested in the presidential seat. Because Nayem Mako, Ngeke Vice President, Ngabanko Tamandi, ite you are going and campaigning in your extra free times and so. How do you see that, Gomchabopa? Because UDP didn't make it their Congress to say that Lawyer Dabo will be their next president in 2021, presidential candidate. Congressman can follow. Just as a vice president, he was going extra in his free times campaigning to be the president, which for me means he was undermining the president.
Okay, let me answer that. You want an answer to that question, right?
Cap and see, guys.
Okay.
Cap and see.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. When Uncle Lawyer Dabo was the vice president, or in Adama Barrow's government, and he was going on campaign, at UDP rallies, not using his official vehicle but his private vehicle. Know that there, somebody wearing a cap of politics and somebody wearing, a cap of government is quite different. Lawyer Dabo is a politician and is a leader of a political party. This was the time after the presidential election. We have the National Assembly elections. We have the councillors elections. We have the mayoral and chairman elections, and each of these parties were contesting as their individual political parties. Lawyer Dabo being, the leader of a political party, after his official mission, he had the right to put on his political cap and go and, and campaign for his candidates that his party have presented to the people. So obviously, what is wrong with that? That was not a presidential campaign. That was a local government and parliamentary elections. So what is wrong with that? That's my question. That's a question for you.
Parewolo answers my question. Why is okay? No problem. We can move forward.
Answer. That done them campaign. That done them campaign time bobu vice president, right? Manela time bobu nonu. It was not presidential. It was not presidential campaign. It was parliamentary and local government election. The party buneka dafa taxawal nit ñam ñi te Lawyer Dabo moom moo nekk head of UDP moom moo nekk secretary general of UDP so mu ngi dem campagne pour moom candidate yim taxawal ci tuuri UDP pour ñu win su wàccee office daf dee génne mbaxana nguur mu sol mbaxana politique mbaxana
nangu naa
dem campagnal nit ñam so ma ne la what is wrong with that?
No,
I'm not answering the question, legi yo naka buga ma answer question bi.
No, it's okay, in but just tell me in short. Just summarize it in short to tell me what brought NPP. What brought NPP? Just summarize it for me.
Suma brother, sir, am nga say lum la waxal ni. Yo jehal nga wax bi de. Yo nga ne. Yo man dama like say you no frame sa question bi sa nga ne. Lawyer Dabo dafa liggéey ba pare mu wacha mu jël private vehicle them politics. No problem. That is very correct. And in every government and in every institution, no law wanna them in. When it's time for politics, we politics. When it's time to work, we work. So I mungla wane. Bul fate de mungla wane legi. Yo yange wane munge undermine presidency bi. No, mungla wane legi. He moves the presidency because my vice president or whatever you call it, foreign minister. So why mungla wane? ñu ngi am ci parliamentary kii the same man moo nekk secretary general UDP bi te pare moo nekk seen flag bi yàlla bi because this time mu ngi woon jógee woon kaso so bul fàtte loolu so du mun a nekk ci presidency bi or ci government bi mu fàtte own parti bi full fate na mo ande
Okay.
responsibility
Wow, jarama nangu na
so
fufu.
waaw Sarr may man dama laajte ñaar ñi because jigéen bi actually laal na question boobu noonu waaye man dama bëgg a dellu si question boobu noonu léegi du ma dee def lii nii nag waaye dama bëgg a profito rek so pour ma understand man mii nekkuma Gambia time boobu noonu so ma le understand what the reasoning behind ñu ne teachers yi buñ defee strike seen party leader dafa wax ne buñ delewutee dina leen sack te dina leen replace with retired teachers yi waaw léegi ndax teachers yi the grounds for their strike te usually no ma understand a lot of strikes has to do with conditions of work and payment salary for example xanaa teachers yi seen salary bi dafa mut na ëpp na dafa jéggi dayoo wala ñoom questions yu ñu doon laajte boo tax the grounds for their demonstration is unreasonable to the point that they will be sacked if they didn't go back to work man loolu moo nekk suma question.
Okay.
It was more about conditions. It was more about overtime and being paid bad salaries.
Well, Sam, haral ñoom ñu answer.
Okay. The reason was very simple. One, government bo xamantene amago 2 years. Xam nga, dafa ñëw replace a government waxon nako fi bi nga xamantene dafa inherit a lot of corruption, lot of abnormalities. So if teachers are striking because of their salary or their working condition or whatever, know that nurses are facing the same thing. Know that the police is facing the same thing. Know that all civil servants are facing the same thing. There was no there was no plan for salary structure or conditional. The only thing is to fix the country and recover more money so that these things can be done through institutional reforms and salary upgrading. Yen so len ñëwé government bo xamantene amagu sa 2 years. After 22 years of started government, financially and with policies and everything, ngane yo by force government nala defal yo kena rek only your sector. You don't care about the others. Are you doing justice to Gambian people?
Xam nga ku nekk